welcome back to Little Hollow Homestead. Today's adventure, we're going to be doing something a little different. We're up here with a friend of mine who has his own construction company, and he's building a deck for a mutual friend that we both know. And it's part of self-sufficiency, I think, if you learn how to build things yourself. And we're just going to kind of run through his process, what he does, and how he builds decks for people. So hopefully some good information for you, and stay tuned.
How's it going? I'm Dave with Rocky Mountain Construction. I mostly do decks. I've been doing construction for 27 years, and I've done it all. Decks is where I find joy right now. So we're gonna do something cool today. My buddy's got a YouTube channel. It is
Little Hollow Homestead.
Yes. We've talked about doing a field trip for a while now, so we're gonna make it happen. It's been stormy, there's tons of snow. We were just talking about all this snow and all the potential flooding.
It's gonna come down.
It's gonna come down pretty quick, and let's hope that all the money the state's invested on these types of measures over the years, let's hope it holds its own. And that the temperatures are right. We're gonna do, Chuck's on a field trip today, so what we're gonna do here is I've asked my man, Corey. Corey's been helping me since, what, January?
Yes, sir.
I've known Corey for about 10 years. Matter of fact, we went and did a service project. Where'd we go?
Arizona.
What'd we do?
We built a tiny home.
No, on the reservation with one of my good buddies, Bomber, that we're gonna talk about here in a little bit, as we kind of look at my job. And that was a service project that he paid for. And he took his crew down there that Corey was a part of, and I went down and volunteered my time. Went paid for all the materials, and we built this home for this family in need. And it was a good experience. That was arranged through Bomber's
really
ward.
cool.
So a ward that he still resides in, and I don't even know that ward, so I can't even call him out. So anyway, we've asked Corey, who I really appreciate. Corey has helped me immensely. He's gonna be our cameraman. This is his little man. What's your name, buddy?
Axton.
Axton. What do you like to do,
son.
bud? You like to do your YouTube?
I do my YouTube channel. I just mostly make shorts.
Sweet. And what's your name on your YouTube channel?
I don't know. You don't really
Well-
have a name.
You
We'll
don't?
find out. We'll put a link to his
Yeah, we'll
channel
find
here in the
out.
video.
Yeah, we'll
I
find
have
out.
to put one on.
Right on.
Part of self-sufficiency is taking care of all your needs. So part of your needs, at some point you're going to need construction. You're going to have to build something, chicken coop, pig pen, a deck on your house. Save a lot of money if you learn how to do it yourself. So that's what we're here today to do. We're going to let Dave here with Rocky Mountain Construction walk us through the process of building this deck. Like I said, this is one of our mutual friends, and Dave will show us how he does it.
Yeah, the customer's name here is Jim Hamlin. Jimmy. I've known Jimmy for about 15 years from working down at Brigham Young University in the athletic department, but working for facilities. Chuck was actually my boss for almost all of that time.
Almost.
So good memories. So we've known Jim Bone for years and years and years. As you can see, he's got a pretty significant job going on here. And just as quickly as we can, we're just gonna kind of go over the basics up to the phase that it's at right now. And then Chuckers can come back when it's all finished. What Corey's working on today is our stairs. I wait and do my stairs last, which is kind of a pain. Honestly, you're up and down the ladder a bit more, especially on a job like this. But I found they turn out better, and it's just something that's kind of fun to do at the end of the project. So Corey, are you having fun doing that today?
Oh, yes, sir. Every day.
Awesome. Okay, so what we do here is we take our total height. We were trying to build our stairs between 7 and 8 inches for code. I like to keep it close or to the 7 if it's possible. So just by doing that math, we've come up that we have 9 rises on these stairs. So the math comes out that our rises ended up being 7 3/8 inches. If you've got 8 rises, then you have 9 treads. Do the math at 9 3/4. It gives us our end point, and then we'll do the stairs up. And that gives each step, a nice even transition. You do come off your high point, which is your slope in the concrete, which this job's not bad, but it was still 1.25 inches. So you just taper them back as you come to your inside edge. Gives you a nice, flat, good step.
Hey, if you look at Corey, he's checking for crown. What crown is the wood has a natural bend in it. It'll either crown this way or crown this way. You want the crown to always be facing up. It's just
straight.
It's just structurally a little more sound. So that's what he's doing there.
When we get these boards, we try to order it a little long, not only as a premium board, but premium boards sometimes have splits, and that's waste. So we want it long enough that we can position our rise and run where we want them.
Okay, so now we're going to see how Corey lays out his rise and run. That math, that equation comes in that Dave was talking about.
I don't know. No, we're gonna go like this. I don't want to waste a bunch of lumber.
There you go. He's trying to be as efficient as possible.
Get rid of the split.
And those little brass pins on his square, those are already preset with those math equations calculated
Show them
exactly.
what we did, Corey, so that if it's got too much of an eased edge.
So
Rocky
some of the
Mountain
boards got a lot of
construction.
beaver on it, or a girth, or just that rounded edge
Yeah,
from the lumber at the outside of the tree.
This little rounded.
And so my man here is ingenious enough to take 2 square nuts and mend them together. That way you're always got a flat edge instead of you're trying to fight that girth of that lumber.
Yeah, so it actually rests down here rather than up here where it's not exactly
We
square.
don't got true hewed beams anymore to where they're square.
Depending where the
Everything's been
lumber
planed.
comes from, it has a different sized eaves edge, and I've seen them as much as a 1/2 inch or more. So
Yep.
it's hard to hold that right where it goes when you got a 1/2 inch eased edge. It sucks.
It walks on you.
Mm-hmm.
Then you'll establish your rise and your run, mark your on your square, tighten your nuts down, and then you take your square where it's flat here, match it to your line here. You just get down, make sure you get a nice placement of it. Always use ink pen or a very sharp pencil, always.
We better get
Never-
a shout out for Tim Reynolds, dude. It's a Tim Reynolds pen.
Oh yeah, temperamental.
Corey was just complaining about it because it's
There
been
you
on
go.
the job too many job
Yeah.
sites. It's worn out, dude.
You can't use a marker. It's too
Just
much.
Too thick, and there's just too many places your saw can
Yeah,
wander
no.
with a big thick mark. So for those of you that aren't familiar with the term rise and run, what the rise refers to is you go up the steps. That's where you're lifting your foot up onto that next platform. That's the rise. The depth of your stair that your foot lands on, that's considered the run. So rise, run, and that's all stairs are, is a series of rise and runs. And there you go. He'll finish laying this out. We'll get some footage of him
And
cutting
there's
it.
a lot to consider when you're doing stairs. You have to go slow, be methodical, and it'll all just pan out. But you do need to remember when you get your stringer all set out and it's cut and it's ready to go, that you have factored in that although that's the top of your step, that your thickness of material is 7/8 of an inch, so you've dropped it 7/8 of an inch so that when you put the flooring on, it's what the rise is supposed to be. And then we've done the same thing at the bottom. Since we dropped it here, we take 7/8 of an inch off the total bottom part of the stringer, and then it sets down and right into place. Everything's adjusted for that thickness.
You have to think ahead a lot.
Yep.
So there you go. Okay, so Dave's going to walk us through the process of how to get started.
On any deck, you base pretty much your starting point is your foundation on almost everything. So you determine what you have. Does it have cracks? Are there things that you need to adjust for? Are there electrical boxes in the way? Are there mini split units in the way? What are you dealing with? Especially if this is pre-existing. We have this line that comes off this AC mini split that it obviously is where it is without seriously tearing into stuff, and they don't know that they want to do that. So there are options, but You account for all that, you transfer, you get your measurements. What do they want? Here, they want an outdoor living room. Jamie wants to party outside. He wants to maybe host here, the players and stuff that he gets to know. I don't know. His family will just use this. This will literally become their outdoor living space. We want it to be strong. We want it to not even wiggle. So we needed structural footings. So underneath the ground here, the ground was so hard we had to go rent a Mini X to get down through it, or it would have been impossible. But you go down 3.5 feet or so, do your footing. It's a 2x10 footing with some rebar thrown in it, fiber mesh concrete. You just have a 2x10 box basically. You kind of center it, over dig your hole so that you got room to work with. Center that thing up where you want. Mix concrete. I'm lucky enough to have a little mixer. I got some video of that I could send you actually.
Yeah, so it's what he's talking about. Underneath the exposed concrete, this sonotube that you see here, underneath that 30 inches down, there is a slab of concrete just slightly smaller than that hole that had been excavated. So that is actually what's going to hold the load. And then this just transfers up so that you can attach your deck to this. But the concrete under the ground is what's holding the structure.
A couple of pieces of rebar just hold that column right on top of that block of concrete so it can't shift. It's connected to it, and then the finished top, try to keep it above grade to eliminate any rot, anything, dirt, any of that getting near that post so that it preserves the post. It's up off the dirt.
Yeah, if you notice, the post is up on that bracket, so it's not going to sit in a puddle of water at all. Dave likes to, when he does pour these sonotubes like that, he slopes the concrete away from the bracket so that the water's going to run off. It'll never sit there and pool.
One of the things we ran into, and you'll run into this on big projects, especially pre-existing homes, but surprise!
Sprinkler power.
Here we are, dude. Here it was, running through about right there. Look how close. But every time, if you haven't accounted for it or prepped in your mind that it might happen, and you told your customer, hey, make them aware of these things, that's all it takes. Then they know if it happens, it happens, and it did. But don't be intimidated by that. A little notch in the pipe, super easy fix. You can do it yourself in a couple minutes and off and rolling. Hey, when it comes to your beam for bearing, there's all different ways it can line out. Every job is different. What do they want it to look like even? And the different options that they have. And then how do you fasten? So here we always go, if you want to pan out and catch glulam beams, they're a lot more money than just rigging it together with 2x10s. If 2x10s is all you can do, you're doing this yourself and you need to minimize the expense, go for it. It's not going to look quite as straight because it's just 2x10s nailed together, but it still looks great. So, but that's what I use. You can come over here where we put our ledger board on to the house. We use these lags, these SDX. There's different brands that are out there, like Timber Tech, I think, is one of them. But it replaces what lags used to do for you, and they're much easier to install. And that's across the rim board that runs on the house. Every house has a rim on it that's attached to your foundation, and that's what you're tying into on no matter what the project is. If it floats out into a section of a home where that's not there, you have to do what it takes to find where the stud layout is so that it's anchoring. That can be kind of tedious, but it can be done.